Yeah, they were handling all the merchandising, and of course they were also handling the merchandising for the old generic comic book image. So it wasn't as big as it should have been for the film, but there were Chris Reeve images, and there were the other actors. And
yeah, there were garbage cans, there were lunch boxes, there were glasses, there were bubblegum carts. Oddly enough, a friend of mine who I became friends with when I moved to LA had, because remember the bubblegum cards, you had to collect them all and flip them over, they made the S. Well, he needed my bubblegum card to complete the S. Lo and behold, 25 years later, I meet him down in LA and he was like, you know how much stress you caused me? So there were, granted, yes, there weren't the huge push, which I think is a good thing. You don't want to oversaturate it as well.
But it was still the first time that all the divisions of a major studio were really working behind it since the beginning, meaning since the film was being shot, which did not happen with Star Wars. Star Wars was very different because nobody wanted Star Wars, and 5 studios passed it, and finally Fox took it. And so they really got into the merchandising at the end. Of course, the film was such a success. It went through. Yeah. Please.
I'm not sure this is a touchy subject, but perhaps maybe we could just tread lightly. But my favorite part of the Superman history is a little bit of the behind-the-scenes drama that went on between the first 2 films. And
I'm only 20, by the way.
Oh, okay.
That's the drama. That's in my case.
I take back the question. No.
No. What's the word?
I'm good, thank you.
Could you describe your feelings during that transition when the decision was made to go with a different director? Was your feeling confident? Was your feeling concerned for the franchise? Because I mean, you can see it.
No. This is something that is important because now that let's say everybody is more or less friendly, including Waters and myself and Donner and everybody. There were things that were not made very available to the audience or the fans or the magazine, whatever, which were that when we finished Superman 1, we were so over budget and so late that we had missed the summer release, and then there was the idea to drop the second film because we were shooting the 2 films together at the same time. Like in the morning we would shoot Superman 1, in the afternoon we would shoot in the same set of Superman 2 because it was a continuous story, right? And then the director that ended up doing the second film, Richard Lester, was actually hired as a producer, although he finally didn't take the credit, to really be the go-between between Donner and myself and my father, and in the sense that Donner and I were very, very close, but the magnitude of don't forget this was an independent film financed. It was not financed by the studio. They were just picking it up. It's called a pickup guarantee. At the end they get the picture, and they just pay when they get the picture. That's it. So they don't take any risk. And what happened there is that we had final control on everything, on the director or on the cut, except Brando had an okay on the director. He could say yes or no. But mainly, what happened is that Dick Donner started, after the enormous success of the first film, which took everybody by surprise, saying that he would only do finish the second one on his terms, on his way, etc., which, okay, was not the way we usually work with my dad. We had final control, but we would usually agree with the directors and never had any problems with that, because at the beginning you know if it's going to work or it's not going to work. And if you start fighting the first day, then there's no point in doing the picture. 2 weeks after, forget about it. It's impossible. So he started saying it's my way or no way, and then he did call us, pardon my language, assholes in the press, which was not very nice, and to say the least. And then one of my best friends was Pierre Spengler, was my co-producer, and Donna didn't get along. And then he said, it was on the record on the Army Archer variety column that he had then, where he said if Pierre Spengler's on the film, I'm not. And frankly, all this adding up, you know, the fact that we're assholes, the fact that it's got to be his way or no way, and definitely that he wouldn't work with Pierre, we decided to take the risk of not taking it finished, because it would have been much easier to do the film with Donner, because Warner was over the moon. They would have financed more than anything we could expect. He would have reshot entirely second film, I mean, from scratch. Would have cost $700 million, and it would have been a different thing, but it was a sure bet for us. I mean, we would have had very little work. Actually, I would have gone to Hawaii and come back at the end and just look at the film, you know. It would have been simple. So taking another director was much more difficult than it seemed, because there is a story that goes on where he says, yeah, if the first film would have been a flop, they would have taken me to punish me on the second film. If the first film would have been a flop, there would have been no second film. So nobody would have finished anything.
Yeah, just before we close out on that,
Yeah.
so I know that movie making has got a lot of risks to be taken. You guys took a risk there, moving on. But considering of all the work, so were you a little concerned because the new director would be coming in? You were concerned about the story?
No, because I mean, I had the luck to work with Richard Lester before on the Three and the Four Musketeers, the one with Faye Dunaway and Raquel Welch and Charlton Heston, which was an enormous success, and we got along very well. I mean, a very good director, but mainly, you know, we could communicate, and so we could communicate with Donner as well. But at the end, the pressures of money became so big because the number one problem was that he couldn't fly. I mean, that was literally solved, I would say, very few weeks before the movie was released. So there were endless problems to make him as believable as possible then. I mean, today it's much easier.
Thank you.
You talked about the transition from Donner to Lester.
Yeah.
Can you go back and talk about the transition from Guy Hamilton to Richard Donner?
Yeah, that's interesting. That's an interesting point. Well, Guy Hamilton was a very, very nice gentleman, and he had done, as you know, Goldfinger and Battle of Britain, which was a big, big movie. So I'd seen both, of course, and Battle of Britain impressed me a lot because it was a humongous movie. And so he was used to the big stuff, was Bond. Very nice man, and the decision, this is another important question, you know, is where constantly, you know, it's said that we wanted to make the film camp and funny, and that's absolutely wrong, because from the first idea moment when I said, let's do this Superman, to my father said, what do you think? And he actually didn't know what Superman was, because he was very European. He didn't know, and next thing he flies, he has all these powers, and it's fantastic. He has known Jesus Christ, it's incredible. And so he got kind of got